everybody, I'm John Funk.
And I'm Tanya Hart, and we are back with a Hollywood moment. And boy, have we got a lot of Hollywood moments to talk about today.
The finale of award season was the Oscars, and I think that you were there for the awards, but the magic and the fashion too, right?
Well, the fashion this year, I thought, by the way, was very good. There were not too many. Well, first of all, there were no wardrobe malfunctions except for maybe Gwyneth Paltrow, and she didn't realize it until the very end. But other than that, I thought, and her dress was beautiful. I loved her dress. And of course, she was in one of the nominated films, Marty Supreme. I don't think they won anything, but everybody I thought looked pretty amazing. Even the guys out there, the men always bring it too. It's not just the women anymore.
I know everybody was piling on Timothée Chalamet, but I did like his outfit.
I loved him. He always comes. I don't know why everybody was surprised. I think he looked fabulous in that white. I don't know why they were talking about him about that.
Speaking of looking fabulous, I loved your outfit. I describe it as Versace. Was it?
It was a MacDougal. MacDougal does really nice evening gowns. They feel comfortable. The reason I've been wearing MacDougal gowns for the last probably 5 years at the Oscars, mainly because we're actually out there working, and you have to have something that you can be comfortable in, working. And the dresses are just comfortable, and they still have the long train, and so it was fun. But what I did, John, was I added, you notice the gloves?
The gloves, the stones, and that Versace leg, I thought was very classy and iconic. The winners of this year, I mean, we discussed who we thought, were going to win. Now we know one battle, one for Best Picture, Michael B. Jordan, one for Best Actor. You had a chance, Tanya, to catch up with him backstage.
Right after he won. You know what happened? So there's the red carpet, and many of us who were lucky enough to get a spot on the red carpet, we're out there. We get a lot of interviews, which I got some great stuff I'm still posting. And then a group of us get to go backstage. And I was backstage, and backstage, only the winners come through, and you get to ask them questions. It's really kind of like being in a bingo game or something. You have a number and you hold it up. It's always interesting because the winners always say, okay, what's happening here? Like, whose number do I pick a number? It's funny, but we hold up our little number. And so I got the first question for Michael B.
So
Jordan.
you won the bingo.
He won the bingo, and I won the bingo. And so we have him, and here's what he had to say after I asked him this question. Hi. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tanya Hart, Hollywood Live. Okay, there's so many questions, but I'm going to ask you. I watched the film again last night before I came today, and I want to know, what kind of mental exercises did it take for you to create the nuances of the different personalities of these two characters?
Ooh, that's a great question. I write a lot of journals. So for my characters, like backstories. So I try to go from like the earliest memory that I can conjure up and think of, and I write all the way up to the first page of the script. So at least it gives me an opportunity to kind of figure out, like, where they're coming from, and that informs a lot of their decisions. But these particular characters, I did a lot of chakra work, on their childhood trauma, and to kind of differentiate the two of them. Smoke is it's a bit more, he's quiet, he's a protector, and the Stack is a little bit more light and buoyant and a little bit of a slick talker and a troublemaker. So I try to just establish different perspectives, They have an outstanding relationship for their entire lives. So just imagine you being in a partnership for 30-something years, how many times they would argue, how many times they would keep score on who's right and who's wrong. All these things I kind of just started to build up, and so they could have a history between each other. And those are the things that hopefully came to light in between the lines, those nuances between the two. And then, there's some other things that's probably boring that you guys don't want to hear about, but that's a little bit of the work.
I really liked your question, Tanya, asking him how he prepared for that role and getting into, the art of acting. I think was a great question, and getting him to kind of show us behind the curtain, his process a little bit, and how he had to like ask the what I call the Uta Hagen questions for two people. I think, separate shows that he's, one of the greats.
The other thing that happened that has never happened, I've been covering the Oscars for many, many years, couple of decades, probably 3. When he walked backstage, John, the entire press room stood up with a rousing applause and standing ovation. I've never seen that for anybody back there. And it was just like, he was in shock. I think even the press room was in shock, but everybody stood up and we were yelling and screaming, and he really did feel the love. And then, of course, after the show, where did he go?
In-N-Out.
In-N-Out Burger, which, by the way, people don't realize it's literally right down the street from the Dolby. So it was close. And he took his Oscar and went to In-N-Out Burger, and people there were totally blown away. I mean, people kind of realized, oh my God, this guy's here with an Oscar. Oh, it's Michael B. Jordan. And he just took pictures with everyone. He's that kind of a guy.
Yep. And Jessie Buckley won the Oscar for Best Actress for HAMNET.
Yes, and of course she won that category pretty much at every award show. She was the one to beat, and nobody beat her this year. So there you go. And she looked great. She looks so different in real life than she does in that role that you would not even think it's the same person. But she was just gorgeous. I love what she had on. It was very simple, and she looked great.
I liked her speech. I think she dedicated it to mothers, which I thought was very sweet.
Right. This year's Oscars remind us why the industry is important, why the stories, the voices, and all of the moments matter, because they stay with us long after the curtain closes.
And we're just getting started. It's a new year of films, new performances, and plenty more Hollywood moments to come.
Yep, because John and I are going to take a stroll down Hollywood's Walk of Fame. Ooh, you don't want to miss that one.
So stay with us next time on A Hollywood Moment.